Good evening. My name is Dave Martinson. I'm a health and well-being coach. It's a privilege to host this Creating Optimal Health series. We decided to do this series to offer another layer of connection for a community of people on their journey towards optimal health. We're going through Dr. A's Habits of Health book and his companion guide to living a longer, healthier life. Today we're going to be discussing Chapter 3, which is Motivation for Change. The series is held on the first and third Wednesdays of the month at 7:30 p.m. Pacific time and is being recorded. We'll post it on our Facebook group, Creating Optimal Health. You can join us live each first and third Wednesday of the month. So today this chapter is pretty exciting. It is, like I said, it is, excuse me, let me just get organized here. Motivation for change. And so in the chapter, it's really talking about, and the first question, first thing that comes up is the motivation factor, they call it. And so it's why do you want to change? So for us, the question of why do you want to change is really looking at this at why. So why are you part of the program? What in terms of what your goals might be? Why are you doing this? You know, it's a question that we ask a lot of why are you going to make this change in your life? And so it's a pretty powerful chapter as we get going on and talking through it. So just kind of a quick question for you guys is that question. So why are you going through? Why are you part of this community? So if anybody could just share a couple of things that just kind of come up, and we'll see how that our whys now as we progress through the conversation of this chapter, if any of us start looking at our whys differently and make any changes. Nancy, you're still unmuted.
Okay.
Okay.
I did it. So I did it to live because I wasn't going to be here very much longer if I didn't change something. And I continue to do it because I feel much better when I'm doing program, eating every 2 to 3 hours. And I know that when I eat more than I should, that, you know, you get that lethargic feeling and it's not healthy. I was talking to someone tonight saying, you know, with all the dieting that I did over all those years, 58 years, the fact that no one had ever come up with the concept of eating 6 small meals a day every 2 to 3 hours, I just never came across my path. And it's such the optimal way of doing it.
Okay. Anybody else want to share their why?
Yeah, I will.
Garrett?
The reason that I wanted to do this, the reason that I keep doing this and moving forward with it is because I want to live a long, healthy life. I don't want to be, on medications. I want to be able to enjoy doing the things that I want to do as I get closer and when I retire from work. I want to have a life where I'm not sitting on a couch and watching TV and in pain and on medications and putting on weight and all the things that I see a lot of people doing. So I just want to thrive, and this is really helping me do that, getting that healthy mind, and staying connected with all of you guys.
Great. Thank you. Sherry, how about you?
How did I know you weren't going to let me get away with not saying anything? Well, my why from when we first got started was basically because you made me, because you went first. And being an emotional eater, it really scared me not to be able to have success and not be able to do it. So I think a lot, even just like a lot of our clients, you know, the the original reason you want to do it is because you're frustrated enough to just try it. And my why now is because I see a whole different, healthier way to live in all areas than just weight and the scale. And it makes everything, the possibilities of everything better. So being healthy personally and physically and mentally and not having stress makes me better. So it's just continuing on that journey to continue trying to be better and then better to the people in my life as well.
Okay, thank you. So I'm going to just share my screen and show you the slide I made for this question. And so this was the question, right? So why do you want change? So most people, and you hear it a little bit in all of our stories, is to solve a problem. You're sick, you're tired, you're sick and tired, you lack energy. What you're trying to do is get rid of an unwanted situation. And that's a lot of folks. As we talk to people out there and ask them this question, this is why. I'm on medications. I'm tired all the time. That's how I was. I was like, oh, I'm tired. I don't want to be tired anymore. I'm miserable. It's all these things that are negative. And that's the conversation that is at the beginning of most people's journeys. So this never leads to lasting change. If we or anybody that we're talking to or come in contact with, it's an emotional conflict, and it's a negative. It comes out of negativity, and what it does is it leads to what we call the predictable cycle, which is, and as I quote right out of Dr. A's book, when you try to change in order to get rid of negative feelings or situations, you slip up once, things get a little better. It just doesn't work long term. So, you're like, oh, I feel terrible. I'm going to see if I can get myself healthy because I feel terrible. Oh, I've been doing this for a little while. I feel better. I don't need to do it anymore. So the solution doesn't come. The motivation isn't there. The motivation is short term because it's, oh, I'm eating poorly or not exercising or both. And so I feel terrible and I'm tired. Oh, I'm eating better. I'm doing a little exercise. I feel a little bit better. So I can go back to my old habits again. That's what that really is, a predictable cycle of what we want to do is change it to this habit of health, which is focus on what you want and not on what you don't want. And so here's this. This is where the habit of yo-yoing comes in, which I fully didn't understand the first time I read this chapter. And I read it again, and I looked at it again, and he had this great little chart here, or not chart, but it's a little flow chart, I guess. Basically, and I put a quote on there, conflict-driven motivation is one of the major reasons people yo-yo. That's the explanation, right? So on here you have intense emotional conflict causes you to move into action. Then you get less emotional conflict, therefore you get less action. And that's the yo-yo. And I've never fully understood it until I really looked at these pictures with the description that Dr. A puts in his book. And it does make more sense, and it also makes you pay attention to the fact that, hey, when you think about the habit, we talked about those habits last week, when you think about the habit of the yo-yo pattern habit, understanding what that means now, it's acknowledging that your why is based on a negative pattern rather than a goal or object pattern. So this is what we want to do. We need to change our emphasis from what we're against to what we're for. And that can have a dramatic impact. I just put these several things right out of the book on here that I thought were very powerful. So what we are going to do is we're going to change the way you motivate yourself, and in the process, create a fundamental new habit of health. Another quote: we're going to motivate yourself by focusing on what you want, not what you don't want. So we move from a problem-oriented goal or why to an outcome-oriented why. So it's this is the fundamental reason that we act to bring what you truly want to be, what you want into being. And it's a true lifestyle change. So as we talk about this, hi Lucy. So as we talk about this, when you guys think about your whys, some that you shared had a little bit of both. Garrett said he said, I want some stuff, I want to be healthy, I want this, and then because I don't want these things. So, and Sherry said the same thing. I have these things that I don't want, and I want this. So how do we start to repurpose the way we think for what our whys are, our why for anything we do? So as we try to figure that out, I don't know if you guys can then look at what you said just a few minutes ago and restate it without the negative part and just state it with the positive side of things, that outcome that you're looking for. Anybody want to give that a shot?
I think I did both. So I talked about what I didn't want, but I also talked about what I did want, which that's why I'm doing this. So to thrive in life as I'm getting older and to be able to do all the things that I want to do into my later years in life. And it's very important for me to be outdoors and be active and to have all, exercise and have all that stuff in place. And without following these healthy habits, creating this lifestyle, it would be very easy to slip into something else.
Great. Yeah, thanks. Nancy or Sherry?
Yeah, I actually wrote mine down just to try to be clear about what I had said with what I would want. But mine would be, I want to be a healthy person so that my entire life is more positive and more healthy, so that my life is better and that positively affects the people around me.
Okay. Nancy, want to give it a shot?
I just want to have this energy. That is a healthy lifestyle. I don't know if that answers the question or not.
Yeah, it does. It does. It's your primary goal.
It's a positive. It's the positive versus the negative. It's
Yes.
not because I want to gain weight. It's because I want to stay the way I am with all the energy.
Yeah. So so you're looking at a positive outcome. So what Dr. Hayes talks about in this the motivating factor. Okay, this is what this chapter is all about, so the motivating factor is what makes all the difference between yo-yoing, losing weight only to gain it back, and creating optimal health by adopting habits of health you can live with. So what does this mean to you? So first, as the beginnings, for folks of us that have been through on the program and are, we're all in a different stage in the journey. Folks that are just beginning the program, through folks that are still in the program, and folks that are trying to maintain, and they're maintaining this lifestyle. So there's three things. So and all this is you're always taking a step forward. So the motivating factor, what does this mean? Well, you're taking a step forward. It's as a positive rather than a negative. And you're opening, and then you need to be open to allowing the change process to succeed. So you have to have an open mind to this. And then you truly have to want a positive outcome. So those three things will make up your motivating factor, as you have to be open to these things. So what we do, and this is dream weaving, or what are different types of goal setting and this kind of stuff. So You want to imagine what your life would look like once you create optimal health for yourself. This is your goal. So as you are, each one of us, and I think for me on a daily basis, I look at myself and I'm like, what is my goal? Am I still on track for this goal? I don't have a fully formulated, like strategic, intentional way I look at it, but I think what Dr. A lays out in here is a little bit of how you can be more intentional about your positive outcome you're reaching for. He talks about it in choices, which we'll get into in a few minutes. But so once you're open to knowing, okay, I'm going to be setting this goal, and I'm going to be setting it in the in this idea of what optimal health looks like to me. Each one of us has a different. Optimal health is a great 2 words, because it's optimally healthy for me, and then I create and decide what that is. My abilities, my desires, that help create what that might look like. So each one of us have a different definition of optimal health. And so that's when everybody's whys are so different, even though probably most of them could be summed up with, I would like to live an optimally healthy life. And then the definition under that could be, for each one of us, is going to be totally different, and but all moving in a positive direction. So your optimal health profile of your best self. That's our goal as health coaches, to help people get to their best, personal best, their optimal health, whatever that is, however that's defined. So what I found very interesting, and I don't know if you guys had a chance to really read the book or not, and so I know some folks are on here to learn from us, and others have taken a look at it. But we talk about structure. And we learn, and a lot of us that have been in this for a while have learning about structural tension. And so this very fascinating that Dr. A talks about, and this early of a stage, chapter 3 of this book, he's talking about structural tension. He's talking about it as your why. So we know your current, each one of us has a current situation, right? A current, where you are currently, where you're beginning. And because it's ever changing, my beginning is now. My beginning is not when I was 70 pounds more. So my beginning has been reset, and it's reset constantly. And we all need to always reset our goals. Reset our place of where we are, because life has changed since the first time we set our current reality. So our current reality changes, and we have to realize that. And I heard somebody say, and I use myself as an example, I am a 180-pound man who lives like he's a 250-pound man. So the changes in my life that have happened for me getting healthy, have I mentally adjusted that? So have I adjusted my current reality to being a 180-pound man, not a 250-pound man? So that right there, I thought was just a very important key for us who are in this journey, to always know you got to reset your current reality to what, that's why it's called the current reality. So our goals will then reflect differently. My current reality is that I am at the optimal weight that I want. So my current reality doesn't start at, I was tired and I need to lose weight and I need to get my fatty levels down so my liver's clean, and all these things. That's gone. So my current reality is new. It's today. Actually, it's March 1st, 2017, not July 12th, 2014, when the first time somebody said, hey, or I said, hey, this is my current reality. I'm 243 and this is just not going to happen anymore. So my current reality is different. And each one of us have a different current reality, which will always make your optimal health goal adjust, because you're going to know you can do things different. You're going to want to be able to do things different. And so you have to be, this is an ever moving stage. And that's what's great about this structural tension. I'm going to put a structural tension chart on our Facebook page so you can kind of look at it and understand a little bit of it if you haven't seen it before, so that we can, because it's important for us to, for me, I'm going to actually try that. I'm going to test it out. I'm going to write down my current reality. I'm going to write down my future optimal health goal. And then there's going to be steps I got to take. And so that, what that does, that tells me, let me see if I shared everything I want to do on this slide with you. So,
Hey, Dave, can I actually summarize something? Because
oh, yeah, absolutely. Sorry.
well, just because you have told me a lot in the last 2 years to be more present and acknowledging that it's a journey. It's not a number that you're going to get to and then you're going to arrive and be there. But I think one of the things you just sort of clarified better for me is not just to ambiguously accept that it's a journey because it's your life and it's not a goal that you're going to get it, but that in order to be intentional about the journey, you're going to need to reevaluate maybe not really often, because I don't want it to sound like too much work even for me, but on the journey we need to be evaluating what the new current reality is and the new goal is. And this is goal setting 101. I mean, anytime you're in business or life or other stuff, they say once you get close to one goal, then you need to reevaluate where you are and then figure out what the next goal is. But I don't know, that just really made a lot more sense to me, that in order for it to be a journey that you're continuing to be aware of and not expecting it to get to one thing, is to maybe have that process in place about reevaluating somewhat often.
Yeah. That's right. Garrett?
Say something? So I think well, a lot of this book comes back to the same spot for me, and it's about being proactive rather than reactive.
Yeah.
And, that kind of sums up everything that Dr. A kind of talks about, and it's with the program that we're on, we're building that structure, and that structure helps us stay in our current reality. If we're weighing in once a week like we're supposed to, we know where we're at with our weight and our current reality, right? And now our goal is to stay proactive if we choose to, rather than reactive to putting on 6 pounds in a week because we went and did something we shouldn't have done or didn't want to do. And now we feel guilty. Now we're reacting to that and jumping back on, doing something different to try to take that weight off, rather than saying, okay, I'm where I want to be. How am I going to stay where I want to be so that I can, for me, thrive later in life and not go inching up in weight or the way that I feel or whatever. And so I just try to break everything down and remind myself to stay proactive rather than reactive. And that leads into other things in life too when I do that. And that's the way I read the chapter, and it simplifies it for me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. It did clarify a lot of stuff for me as well. And I just think it's a powerful chapter. I think what, so Dr. A is basically saying, so if your optimal health is your goal, what do we need to know in order to put this goal into a useful structure? So he talks about, and this kind of gets into what we're sort of talking about already, but he's talking about tracking your progress in relationship to your goal, which is why when we talk about this, like you say, Garrett, every week you're weighing in, and that's really your new current reality. And maybe your current reality is the same in terms of that, but then you're looking at, for you had talked about in your story that you want to make sure you're back in shape when you get to the gym and take care of your body. So then maybe that's, how is that coming along? And so what's your current reality on that until you get to the point where this is the shape I want to be in. Now you have a new current reality, and what's next after that? So it's tracking that progress. So you always have your starting goal, point, where are we now? Your current reality, always changing. And then he gets into your actions. So as we talk about in a structural tension style, your current reality is here. Then you go to that next deal where it says, okay, so these are my actions. So they have to be measurable and have an impact. So what's the, or otherwise said, they need a measurable impact, okay? And then what Dr. A calls a healthy habit, in this chapter, he says, you need to be honest with yourself, which means be clear about your goal and describe your current reality honestly and objectively. He really wants to make sure that we're honest with ourselves so that we can, because if we have a truthful and honest spot to start, as we go forward, as our current reality changes, we will see those successes and be able to be proud of those changes and those things that we're doing. If you went in there and you weren't honest with yourself, and then the changes you're making, and then now maybe you've got to the point where you had said, well, I only weigh, I'm not that much overweight. And then you finally get to that weight. Now you're like, whoa, I'm at the weight that I was lying about to myself, or any other issues that you might have. He says, if you put them out there and you're honest with yourself, then you're going to be able to move forward and with that integrity with yourself. So one of the key things, and I think this is very important. So he talks about, there's two things he talks about next is your health coach. What your health coach does for you helps you understand your current reality and helps you develop these new habits. And I thought this was key because for me, I don't reach out. I don't have a health coach relationship with anybody right now. I did the program without a coach. When I got into the program, I didn't know about all the stuff. Somebody was like, hey, do this. I'm like, all right. So I did it. I didn't have a coach. So as I talk to folks and try to understand how to best coach them and help them, and it is very key to the success of people on these journeys is the coach. And whether the coach is keeping you, helping you set your current reality, helping you understand how to get to optimal health and what that means to you, to define what that means in these positive outcomes that you're looking for. So this is so key for you guys to reach out to your coaches and your health coaches and find out how they can help guide you to these next steps. Because this is not meant for us to do this by ourselves. It is not meant for us to be like, woohoo, I'm going, look at me, yay. This is, hey, this is exciting. I'm doing it together with this health coach who's helping me, with my friend Lucy, my friend Nancy, these kind of things so that the community boosts you up. You're honest with yourself. Your coach helps you. Your community helps you and raises you up. And it's so much more powerful for us. We're meant as human beings to live in community. And our community's changed over the years. And, this is something, 20 years ago, you weren't going to do this, have this Zoom, And so we're having community on this call right now to support each other. And so in this setting, you're being honest with where you are and knowing where you want to go is very important. And the coach, and I can't stress it enough, is a major important piece that you need to reach out to your coach. Even if your coach isn't reaching out to you, because you need that. It's nice if the coach is reaching out to you, but you should reach out to your coach because this is a very powerful opportunity for you to have somebody who's going to listen and care and help you and be honest with you. So I find that to be extremely important. The next thing that, actually, before I move on to this other one, which I think is, which is about choice, does anybody want to share about anything that we've been talking about this for the last, little bit of time? You're muted, Lucy. There, I fixed it. Can't hear you. Nope.
Yes.
Still can't hear you, Lucy.
Okay, that's good.
No. just tell us in sign language. Yeah, we can't hear you. All right. Anybody else? Okay. So this next part, and so Dr. A, the next thing he talks about, he says, and this is so important on our journey, that we have the power to choose. Okay, he says it's your call. You can do it or not. The choice is the power to make a decision. And I thought that was really good, and I'm going to bring up this thing so you can see the screen on this one. So there's two, he talks about three types of choices: primary, secondary, and fundamental. Now, fundamental he talks about in chapter 4, but in chapter 3 he talks about the primary choice, and I thought these were pretty strong things that he said. So primary, right, this is a major choice, something that we want more than other things that we may also want, right? So you're ranking your things that you want. So, but you can only have one primary choice. And so what is that primary choice? So when you are looking at what you want as your why, what is your why? What motivates you? This is what it is, your primary choice. What it is that motivates you to, like I talk to people, I say, look, somebody can give me a piece of cake and I can make a choice now. I can have this piece of cake because it's super yummy, or I cannot because my why is so much more powerful than that piece of cake. That is no problem for me to set it aside. I'm at a conference this week in Los Angeles, and I am, they're serving, carbs and everything. And there was dinner tonight, was nice piece of chicken and asparagus on top of mashed potatoes. So I had to scrape. I didn't want the mashed potatoes. I don't want those carbs for what I'm doing right now. So I had to push those aside. And then they bring by the dessert. Everybody at the table was having one. The waiter brought me a piece of cake twice. I kept sending them away. So because my why is just too important for me to have a piece of cake. So you get to the point where your why is so powerful that it's not a big deal. I mean, I love cake, but I'm not going to have it because it's not part of the plan. It's not part of my optimal health life. So that's the key part about the primary choice, finding that that thing, that something that you want more than another. And so Dr. A calls that optimal. He says in his book, he's like, so you probably want optimal health more than you want any of this other stuff. So that's the example he uses in there. So I want optimal health more than I want a piece of cake, so I'm good to go. I have no problem saying no thank you to that. Secondary choices. And after we talk about this, then I want to hear from you guys on how you understand these two. So secondary choices, these are the actions. So this concerns the actions we take to support our primary choice. So my actions that if I drop and I'm going to do this, I'm going to do a structural tension chart on this for myself and see what my actions are. Because I'm not taking all the actions I'd like to take, but I'm going to put down the ones I've taken and I'm going to add the ones that I should be doing that I want to do, because these are going to support my primary choice. And my primary choice is so strong that I should be able to do these secondary actions. So, I'll leave the floor open for comments on this. I think it's just so important to understand these two choices at this time.
So, so the primary choice is I am going to follow this program. My secondary choice would be an example of me saying, having a day where I'm having doubts, but still making that choice to stick to the program. That would be a secondary choice. Is that a good example of it?
Yeah. So if your goal is to stick to the program. Okay.
Right.
And you have and somebody comes up and it's like, and you have an opportunity to not stick to the program because you're offered this, or to stick to the program. This is now your secondary choice, because your primary choice is to stand on program or have optimal health, however you want to define it. Then when that choice comes up, a secondary choice now, because you already made the choice to be healthy. That's your primary choice. So when you have a habit of disease or a habit of health to choose from, that's your secondary choice. So that's where the challenge is, right? Because everybody can say, oh, I'm going to be healthy. So you make that, but you then these secondary choices are the really difficult ones, because did you choose the habit, or did you choose optimal health, or whatever your primary choice? Is it the one you want more than any other thing? If it is, the secondary choices should balance the fact that you're always going to say, nope, that one's way stronger, so I'm going to say no thank you. So
Yeah, I can actually give an example too, just because I'm going to try to start incorporating this a little bit, because I listened to the Habits of Health call tonight, and they actually gave some examples about your first choice is to decide you want to be healthier, and it kind of has to do with your why. It's sort of the bigger, I want to be healthier because of why. And then the secondary choice, they gave a lot of examples on the call, and it wasn't even just food related. It was even like when I'm tempted, or when they're having choices that have to do with not taking good care of myself, then what she even said, you should actually have she called it like a toolkit, but it was really a list. Okay, these are the things that I do to take better care of myself. So when you're stressed, or you're frustrated, or you're emotionally sad, or just anything that's happening in life, that you have that list as a concrete thing, and that those are your secondary choices, because they're not really habits yet. And it was a great example. She gave like real life examples too, like situational scenario things with a relationship, or stress at work, or all kinds of stuff. And the old habit might have been to eat or sleep or not do something that was good for you. And if you can figure out what secondary choices of good health, and she gave ideas. For the one girl, it was she paints her nails just because that's like soothing and therapeutic for her. The other one pets their dog. The other one goes for a walk. Someone takes a bath. Someone went to. So it was good. It was a good example of, oh yeah, I should have some choices that are really specific written down, so that in case I'm frustrated and in that moment don't know what to do, I could at least go look at the list and remind myself, oh yeah, that's what I like to do. I should go do one.
yeah, and those are ways to create new habits.
Yeah.
Because when you're creating a new habit, you're not just going, oh, I'm going to have this habit over here, but I still have this habit. My habit would be originally to come home from work, open the refrigerator, eat something, and then ask Sherry what's for dinner. So by creating a new habit, I could create a new habit that is going to be, well, I'm going to, and if I just create a new habit that doesn't cancel out the fact that I come home, open the refrigerator, and get some food before I have dinner, if I don't cancel that out, then that doesn't help. So what I did was I came home, and this was a deal with Sherry and I. When I was on program, she was just going to make dinner for me. So I would come home, go upstairs, change, put my stuff away, turn my computer on, do all the stuff do a bunch of chores, whatever, keep myself busy until she says, okay, so dinner's ready. Then come down, have dinner. Then I go back upstairs, and the kids want to visit with me, they got to come upstairs. Because we don't allow food upstairs, so I got no problem. People come up there, they can eat their dessert and all that, whatever they're having. They come upstairs and spend time with me. And that is how I broke that habit. So that's a choice, and then developing a habit. Okay, so I'm going to share a couple things. It says here, Dr. A, he talks about, in some of the goals. He's like, okay, well, you might have a goal to weigh 140 pounds. or you might want to fit in a new pair of jeans, or you want to get your cholesterol down, or your blood pressure down, or blood sugar down, or get increased energy or stamina, how far you can walk or jog or swim. Those are not goals. Those are the steps that are happening towards the goal. So your goal being, we're just going to use optimal health, and then you define it. And your definition is, I want to weigh 140 pounds and have good blood pressure and good cholesterol and all that stuff. And that current reality you're setting, that's when you change. You're like, okay, my current reality is now here where I don't have bad cholesterol and high blood pressure. So it keeps moving up, right? So that's how those small things that we do, those are part of the definition of our optimal health, of what that looks like, because those are the reachable things. Because optimal health is only reachable by you defining it as what it is for you, and these things are those things that you put in there. The other thing that he had said in here, and this goes to the choices, which you were just talking about, JP, is if you just want one thing, it's no big deal. But when it's time for a choice, that means you have two conflicting things that you want. And so when those conflict, that's when you have that's conflict, right? You want two things equally. So if you have, that's why you need one primary, which overrides all of the choices. I want to be optimally healthy, therefore all the choices will be overridden. So when a secondary goal comes up, secondary choice, you have to make a choice. And if you weigh it out based on what you're trying to get up here with optimal health, then you should win. Okay, it doesn't always happen though, because you have to make that choice again. Then you have to reassess. So what is that? Is that really my goal? And once you find that goal, this is why I'm doing this, it eases the burden on the secondary choices. And it allows you to make that almost second nature. No, thank you, I don't want the dessert. They bring it back. No, thank you, I still don't want the dessert. And so that is a key ingredient to success, and not just in what we're doing here. Well, actually, it isn't just what we're doing here, because what we're trying to do is we're trying to change our lifestyle. We're trying to have a different life, a life that society is not currently living, and that we want to be those living it, and we want to change the thinking of people that we care about. So that is, in terms of those choices, I think I have a cool little definition that Dr. and I'll show this to you guys, because Dr. A put this in here. Share my screen. About both of these. Primary choice. So choice, primary choice. It's about deciding that we want one thing, optimal health, more than something else. Okay? And it's as simple as it is. It's powerful, but it seems like a simple sentence. We want one thing more than something else. That's our primary. Our secondary is about taking daily actions that support our primary choice. Okay, and it's the actions you're taking, and then you're going to have choices on those. And the actions is, so when we talk about building structural tension, we have the current reality, and now we've got the secondary choices we're making. So we have daily actions that we sort of list on this thing. So whatever those might be, and these daily actions are going to challenge you to pick new habits. For me, make sure I wake up at a certain time. Make sure I drink my water. I'm eating 5 times a day, all the time, no matter what. I'm on program, not on program. I have my fuelings with me. I drink a bottle of water with every single meal so that I never am short of water. And these are my actions. And so I go through that to reach what my goal is. And then I reset the current reality. And then I look and adjust my actions. Do they need to be changed? Do I need to add more? what is it? How am I getting to my ultimate goal? Do I need to add, okay, so I got to go to the gym now. How much time am I spending at the gym? And these things. So then every time one of those comes up, you're supposed to do this action. That's when you have to make a choice. Am I going to do the action that I planned on because it supports my optimal health, or am I going to not, which is not supporting my optimal health? Okay. Any comments?
Yeah, that was good. So as you were saying, explaining it a little bit further, I remembered a client that I explained the fuelings, the 6, the 5 and 1. So he knew that he had to follow, the 6 meals a day, every 3 hours. And okay, good. So he started the first day. Second day, third day, he told me that he was struggling. And I said, okay, well, your choice was for you to make sure that you have the six meals every day, every 3 hours. What's the problem? He goes, well, I'm just I'm leaving my house, and I'm forgetting to bring my I don't have time in the morning to grab my fuelings out of the boxes. I said, well, why don't we try this? Why don't we try pre-packaging your lunch box the night before? And if you start making that secondary choice to support your first choice, then you're not going to have the problem in the future, right? Oh, I guess that kind of makes sense. So that makes sense now.
Yeah. And you know what's interesting for me? I'm looking at this, and I don't think it's natural right now in our society for people to think that way.
No.
So when you tell him something like that, he's probably going, "Well, that was obvious. I guess I should have thought of that." Because it is obvious if you're intentionally living, if you're able to do, if you're living in the 100 miles an hour that we're going all the time, you wake up, you hurry up, get to work, and you go through the drive-through, then you get to work, and then you eat there, and then there's a party, and everybody's got all this junk, and you do all, and then you go home, and I'm tired, I'm not going to cook, I'll get fast food. Then you go to sleep, passed out at a food coma, watching TV, and you start all over again. So there's no healthy habits in that at all. But if you're intentionally doing it and knowing I'm going to take care of myself by doing these things, I'm going to get my sleep, I'm going to eat right, I'm going to create these habits of health that I want. And as we talk about this and building, and I'd like us all to get the structural tension chart, which I'll put on there on the creating optimal health group, and fill it out. Put your current reality. Put what your goal is. I'm just going to write optimal health until I learn and understand more, so that I write something different. Until then, I have a picture of what that looks like, and then I'm going to put my goals down. And even so, just as a practice, I'm going to write, okay, I'm going to eat 6 times a day. I'm going to eat, drink my water. I'm going to get my sleep, and I'm going to get my habit of motion. I'm going to get my mindfulness, and I'm going to explain what I'm going to do so that I can know and be intentional about my plan. And I think if we all try to do that, and that'd be something that we can share and help each other to understand how that works and because we might do it and be like, well, I didn't do any of that stuff. And then start learning of, okay, how do you live it though? How do you live it? You can write it down, but then how do we live it? So I want to share, let's see, did I share this already?
The one thing that just reminded me of, though, is Garrett had said, the difference between proactive and reactive, and everything you just described was being intentional and proactive. Mm-hmm. But Dave, I had a question. Is the stop, challenge, and choose principle introduced yet in the book?
It's not, but I think it falls into this part about choice. He doesn't talk about it specifically in chapter 3, that concept, but when you're looking at it's what it is, right? So JP's question is perfectly that. He's got 2 options, and if he weighs them, he is stop, challenging, and choosing.
Right, that's kind of what I thought. That's why I was asking.
Yeah, it's not explicit in the chapter, and maybe he'll introduce that later. I don't know. But it is exact. I'm pretty sure it's exactly what it is, and I find it fascinating that structural tension is introduced right here in chapter 3 so early. But now, this is the second or third time I've read this chapter since I started being part of this community, and I just figured it out this last week reading it, going, that's structural tension. and it's here you are, and as you want to be. Same thing with my business. Here I am. This is where I want to be. So what are the steps I got to take? It's the same, but I never realized that. So let me share this. The real power of choice, and I really love this. It's not in doing things that are easy and enjoyable, but doing things that are strategically critical to our goal. That's how he defines your primary choice. And your secondary choice defines it to support our goal, not because we particularly like the action, but because we like the outcome. And as an athlete, going to the gym, like when I played football, going to practice, and it's a double days, and it's 100 degrees out, and it's just insane. And why do we do this? It's not like because that's fun, but it's the outcome. When you get to play a game, and you get to win a game, and you get to have this brotherhood with your teammates, that is what it is. So the primary goal on a football team is to win, and then the secondary is everything else that you're doing to support winning. So putting in the time. It's the same thing. Any business you run, any job you have, you do the things you don't like to get to the goal. So I just thought it was extremely powerful and I wanted to share that. Any comments? No?
I like that example.
So, okay. Then that's what I got out of this chapter. So if you guys have anything else to share that you got out of the chapter or have questions, this would be a good time. We can answer those. Otherwise, we'll start to close down the show.
Will you put an example of the structural tension thing sort of filled out a little bit, not just blank?
I will put...
or maybe I'll help you do that.
Yeah, I can put one together. So for the next couple of days, I'll get it on there, and then I'll put an example, whether it's my example or I can find if there's an example somewhere I can look up. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Then let me do my. So okay, all right, guys. So next session is chapter 4, and it is called "Health is All About Choice," and it talks about it talks about fundamental choice. So we're going to talk about choice again, and we'll see how that plays into the differences between primary and secondary. Okay. So there'll be Wednesday, March 15th at 7:30 p.m. Pacific time, and you can join us live each first and third Wednesday. So I thank you very much for joining us and for your participation. And I will see you guys.
Hey, Dave, before you hang up, did you take a picture?
Did I take a picture?
Yeah.
No.
I can't take a picture on my phone of everyone.
Okay.
So it would just be fun.
I'll do it.
I mean, like we have to
There, I did it. All right, everybody smile. Smile. Like it was fun. Come on, JP. That's not a smile, man.